Hey, my name's Sandra. I'm a third-year Doctor of Occupational Therapy student. I'm set to graduate in May, and I am reflecting back on all of my time in OT school and remembering how little information there was about OT school before I started. So I wanted to make this video series with all the information you need to know before you go into OT school. This is the first video in that series, so I recommend subscribing so you don't miss out on any of the others. But in this video, I'm going to answer the top 5 most commonly asked questions about OT school. So let's get started. I think the first question will come as no surprise to anyone who has any background in OT. What is OT and what do OTs do? Occupational therapists are an allied health professional with an emphasis on habilitating or rehabilitating someone with a cognitive, emotional, or physical barrier to participating in meaningful activities. So our emphasis is on function with the lens of an activity. What's really cool about OT is that there's the opportunity to work with all age groups from birth to death. And while the focus of occupational therapy looks different in different settings, the goal is always on function with the context of activity. So now you can go tell everyone you know what OTs do so that I have to do it less. The next question is a twofer. It is, how long does it take to complete an OT program and what are the admissions requirements? The answer to this is rapidly changing because by 2027, all degrees will be doctorate. And the doctorate level degree takes 3 years or 8 semesters to complete. If it's prior to 2027, then there are still master's programs available, and these are about 2 years, 18 months to complete. The addition of the occupational therapy degree allows occupational therapists a space at the table with other doctorate level healthcare professionals. This gives a field a better chance to advocate for itself as well as the patients that need us. The difference between the master's and doctorate level degree is that the doctorate level degree is going to have more of an emphasis on research and leadership. And that's a very general statement. Each degree from different schools is going to have its own niches and requirements. Now, one thing that's interesting is that to become an occupational therapist, you don't technically need a bachelor's degree. However, most other people applying are going to have bachelor's degrees. So to be a competitive applicant, well, it's up to you. The admissions requirements vary school to school. However, generally speaking, you're going to need an anatomy, kinesiology course, probably a medical terminology course, and then a certain number of credits. I also go to a private university and we had extra requirements such as theology courses. The next question is a really smart one to be asking. It is, what are the job prospects and pay opportunities for occupational therapists? I'm referring to the US Bureau of Labor Statistics for this one, and I know the thing that you really care about is pay, but just so you know, they're predicting about a 12% increase in jobs over the next 10 years. So not only will you get paid to be an OT, but the job prospects are pretty good too. Now, the pay. The median salary for occupational therapists is about $93,000 a year. The median income in the United States is $46,000 a year, so this is about double. The highest paying field in occupational therapy is going to be home health care service. There's also a lot of debate about if it's the worst field in occupational therapy. I said what I said. Followed by skilled nursing facilities, then inpatient facilities, then outpatient, and then school therapy. Do what you will with that information. The next one is another good one if you're not sure which direction you want to go. It is, what is the difference between an OT and a COTA, or an occupational therapist and certified occupational therapy assistant? Occupational therapists are trained to assess and diagnose a therapy diagnosis. I can't say that you broke your arm, but I can say that you have decreased function due to decreased upper extremity strength and range of motion. That's a therapy diagnosis, where certified occupational therapy assistants can only follow treatment plans set by an OT. So OTs do the assessment, establish a plan of care. COTAs are able to fill that out. So both OTs and COTAs can treat, but only OTs can assess. And that's that. However, one thing that's interesting is that the job prospects for COTAs are a little bit higher. There's predicted to be a 23% growth in jobs for COTAs, but the pay is significantly less, with a median pay of $64,000 a year. It is also an associate's degree, however. And the last question is, what are the specific courses and clinical experiences required in OT school? ACOTE, A-C-O-T-E, which is the accrediting board for occupational therapy institutions, has a lot of standards. That's the bottom. So I'll go ahead and link this document below, but what you really might be interested in is the 24 weeks of required fieldwork experience. 24 weeks of unpaid labor. 24 weeks of labor that you're paying for. It's really great. It's a lot of hands-on experience before you go into the field, so that's great. Yeah. 24 weeks. My program, the way that we were set up is we had 5 semesters of coursework, a semester of fieldwork, a semester of fieldwork, and then our capstone experience. But yeah, I'll link that document below if you're a little more curious. I'm not gonna go into all of the standards set. Hopefully my answers to these questions were helpful for you. Next week, I'm gonna chat all about common OT interview school questions. I am an interviewer for our school, so I think you'll find these helpful. See you next week.